Welcome to the Celebration of You. I'm your host, Holly Dowling. I'm thrilled to share with you incredible people from all over the world who are living and leading extraordinary lives. From overcoming immense adversity to discovering the secret sauce to leading with courage and grace. Their stories are going to bring you hope and inspiration. Now, let the stories begin. Oh, am I so excited for today's guest? And I know that everybody that listens, and I just always like to thank you. Thank you for everyone around the world that has truly affirmed the passion and mission of sharing amazing stories from incredible people like yourself from around the world. And this is how we make impact. This is how we change lives. Today's guest already just blew me away again. Because everyone that listens knows I firmly believe that if we're open to what God and the universe does in our lives, open to the serendipity, the miracles around us, you meet incredible people, sometimes when you least expect it. And today, I feel like I get to share with you and the world what I'm calling one of my new best friends. And actually, we just realized we met we're having an anniversary 2 weeks ago today. Welcome. The gorgeous, the amazing, the talented, and the brilliant Jennifer Jones. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Holly. How are you?
I am phenomenal, and I just can't believe we're having a 2-week anniversary.
I know. Happy anniversary. I'm so excited to be talking to you, especially today.
Well, I love how you said that. You go, we're having an anniversary. And I'm like, we are? You're like, yeah, 2 weeks ago today. And it was 2 weeks ago today. We were both sitting together at this amazing event honoring Girl Up for the United Nations Foundation, both passionate about women. And as I got to know you, Jen, I mean, it didn't happen, within 30 minutes, I was running around having everybody meet you because I'm like, this woman has an amazing story. And your partner, Cynthia, if I could have figured out how to have you both on the show, make it happen like that, you'd both be with me because she's just as remarkable.
Well, Cynthia is indeed a remarkable woman, and she's just fine having me talk to you today solo. And I hope I do the both of us justice.
Well, girlfriend, I know you are because there's so much I want to share with everybody. But what got me, so when I first met you, and this is where I kind of want to start, Jennifer and Cynthia, they have co-founded a company and it's called Women You Should Know, you're having some historical, wonderful anniversaries coming up, which you started 6 years ago, which then spun off to another company you started a year ago, but we'll get there in a moment. The part that's mind-boggling, and I want the story to come from you, this was all the result of another business. You are like an serial entrepreneur. You've been starting business your whole life. You came from massive in the advertising and public relations industry. Take us down the journey of when you were deciding that you were going to go off and start your own PR company. Tell us all about that. Let's start from there.
Sure. So my entire professional career was in PR from the time I graduated from college and worked at Rolling Stone magazine for a little while. Then I went to an ad agency in New York City, small agency. They didn't do PR at the time because PR was sort of not a thing back then. It was misunderstood and looked at as kind of advertising's complicated and confusing sister. So that agency actually wanted to start building a PR division. And they said, we have no idea what PR is. Do you want to do it? And as a 23-year-old with no fear, I was like, heck yeah, I do. Let's go for it. So over 7 years, I actually built an entire department for that agency, and we specialized in luxury consumer goods, from watches to automobiles to lifestyle products and things like that. So once I did that, I really started to get an itch that I needed a new challenge. And since I had spent my entire career in-house at an agency, I wanted to outside at an agency, I wanted to see what in-house work would be, actually working inside of a brand. So that's when I went to my next job, and that's where I met Cynthia. And so we were both working at one of the biggest jewelry brands in America, and we were the two-woman PR team there. So it was just the two of us, and we were running the whole show. In a short amount of time, about 4 months, we realized very, very quickly that we were cracked from the same mold.
I love the way you said that. Cracked from the same mold.
Separately, it was funny because we sat back to back. There was about 3 feet of space between us, and we were in this sort of creative think tank with all the other creative people around us. But she and I were the only two who were doing the PR. And we quickly learned that we had the exact same work ethic, and that secretly she and I both had dreams of being entrepreneurs. So people in the industry that we were in knew us very well. And we had many people say, how do I get PR people like you? I want to hire people like you to do work for me. I can't find anybody like you. And I think it was about the 12th person within the watch and jewelry industry that said that to one of us or asked us simultaneously. And we just looked at each other and we said, this is our moment. The universe is speaking to us. We can do this. We can start our own agency and service these people in a way that clearly they're not being serviced now. So that's what we decided to do. And it was actually 16 years ago this summer, we made that decision.
Wow. 16 years ago. Well, that would be right, because that's the next part of the story.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yep.
So we both gave notice at the job, and we were in the month of September at this point. Cynthia stayed on because we are two conscientious women, so we didn't want to leave the company with zero department because there was a lot happening. So she stayed on, and I left to start actually opening the business and doing all the logistical things that needed to be done. So on September 11th, 2001, I had an appointment with the phone guy who was installing the phone lines in our new office, and the office sat 1 block south of the World Trade Center. So obviously that appointment never happened that day. And that night, when we were able to sort of regroup to a degree that we could, still being very, very confused and upset, and couldn't wrap our heads around what had happened to our city, to the world that day, to humanity. We just sort of looked at each other and said, what do we do from here? And it was too soon to make that decision, but within 24 hours, we did make a decision. And we said, you know what? We took this leap of faith. We still have the opportunity to move forward, and we're going to go for it. So we forged forward with the business at probably one of the worst times in the history of the world that anyone would even think to start a business.
Yeah. And yet, every minute of everything that started to happen, it was like it was all supposed to happen. As sad as it is, it was like this was part of the journey that you now get to share. Like just all the things that began to happen for you guys, literally without even a phone line. So take me, Jen, to I don't even know where to go. I always get goosebumps every time you tell the story. But take us to, what was the next monumental moment for you that was really looking back, this journey had to happen like this?
So we landed our first small client within a month. And that same month, the jewelry company that we had worked for hired us back as consultants, which was a great boon to the start of our very new business to have capital coming in. And then by January of 2012, we landed our first big client, which was Tourneau, which was incredibly exciting. And things just kind of catapulted from there. And, over a number of years, we actually took this idea and built it into an award-winning PR and event marketing agency. And we worked for international brands, domestic brands, small, large, and it was very, very exciting.
And then you had an anniversary coming.
We did. We did. So nearing the 10-year anniversary of Outhouse, that's what the agency was called, still is called. We got to the point where we sort of started assessing the type of work that we were doing, and we were heavily involved in fashion and accessories, and it was all very exciting, and it was very glamorous, at least on the outside. And we kept feeling like there was something more that we could do. As I like to say, my soul started to feel like it was turning a little bit black, because I kept saying, what am I actually contributing to the greater good of the world? And And one thing that would always happen is that whether we went to an event or we were producing an event, I would always meet someone, Cynthia would meet someone, a woman, and we would say, how is it possible that we do not know what this woman is doing? Everybody needs to know her story. She's amazing. She's doing something amazing. Why is she not being talked about by the media? So this would happen over and over again. And that's when a light switch went off in both of our brains. And we said, you know what? We've been on the pitching side of editorial now for 10 years. Now we're going to flip it. We're going to actually build the editorial platform where we can tell the stories that we want to tell. We can talk to women the way that they deserve to be spoken to. We can talk about women the way that they deserve to be spoken about. And we can really celebrate one another and support each other through storytelling to inspire. And so that was the inception of Women You Should Know, which we launched on the 10-year anniversary of Outhouse.
Well, and Outhouse, by the way, we missed that part. That's the name of the company you guys started. The minute you, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we picked that name on a long walk in Central Park. We kept looking at each other going like, okay, now we've decided to start a business. Now we have to come up with a name. And we didn't want to be Jones and Hornig. Like we don't want to sound like a law firm. We weren't those people. And we said, we're PR people. Our clients' names are supposed to be in lights, not our names. So it can't be that. And so we were in the middle of this very casual conversation. And Cynthia said, well, we're an agency, so we're on the outside. And I said, right, we're not in-house anymore. We're in-house, but on the outside. And we literally looked at each other and we were like, that's it. It's Outhouse.
I just love that. When you told me that, I'm like, Outhouse. I mean, how classic is that? Okay, seriously though, this is the next part of the story that, I mean, for anybody listening, it's going to be goosies. Because I truly believe, I have written all over, Jen, that what I believe you and Cynthia have truly done, follow your souls and follow your calling. Because every decision you've made, there's been another monumental sign that you're on the right path. So take us to when Outhouse, Women You Should Know, right? You've now got that launched. And you guys are wanting to do something really special. Wasn't it for the 10-year anniversary of 9/11 in honor?
Yes, actually. Well, so when we came up with the concept of Women You Should Know, sort of as an editorial-based brand, we wanted to figure out, what we would do to launch it. And because we were launching on our 10-year anniversary of Outhouse, which also was the 10-year anniversary of 9/11, we wanted to be respectful of the day without taking advantage of it. And so we started thinking about the women of 9/11, specifically were women first responders. And we kept thinking about the news footage that we had seen in news coverage, and we didn't recall seeing a single woman first responder. You saw lots of male EMTs, firefighters, NYPD, FBI, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we kept saying, where were the women? There had to be women there. So we kept digging, could not find anything, called friends in the media and said, do you have any footage of, women on 9/11 actually doing the hands-on work in the pit? Came up empty every time. So Cynthia, who's also an amazing private investigator in her spare time, did some really deep digging, and she kept coming up with this one name, Brenda Berkman. We had no idea who Brenda Berkman was. We just knew she was an FDNY captain. So we found Brenda, who had since retired, through an art blog because she now is an artist, and we got in touch with her, and we told her who we were, and we said, we'd like to tell your story. And she said, as it turns out, I've just put together a group of women first responders for the 10th anniversary, none of whom have had their stories told in the last 10 years. So we're actually looking for an outlet to be able to tell their stories. So she said, I actually need you more than you need me. So let's do it.
Unbelievable. I literally have to pause, Jen. Like, seriously, that moment was defining for so many people. I mean, you gave them a voice, and here she had all these women who you guys couldn't figure out who they were. Where are these women, right?
And I wish we could have told all of the stories, but Brenda connected us to a handful of women. We had them to our office. We spent the day with them. We heard about their experiences that day and the months following, and also several of them have very, very serious health issues as a result of working in the pit and in amongst all of the debris. And so it was very inspiring. It was very heartbreaking at the same time. But it was really an honor to be able to launch a site that had an intention to tell the untold stories. Literally, that's what we kept saying when we came up with the concept. We said, we want to tell the untold stories. And Brenda and her colleagues, her first responder colleagues, epitomized that. They were extraordinary women whose stories had never been told. And so to be able to be the ones to tell their stories for the first time in 10 years was just a privilege that I can't put a value on. So that was really exciting. And still to this day, I have no idea how this happened, but within 24 hours of our site going live, the Huffington Post women called us and they said, "We love what you're doing for your 10-year anniversary 9/11 coverage, focusing on women first responders. Can we syndicate your coverage?" And we were like, sure.
I'm like, do we have to think about it? Hold on.
Right. And I mean, honestly, to this day, we still, and keep in mind, we are PR people, so we sort of know how these things go. We do not have any clue how they even heard about us. It's not like the site was indexed in Google yet. Like, we have no idea how it happened, but it was one of those very serendipitous moments. And, that obviously being a 24-hour-year-old brand or a 24-hour-old brand, and then being featured on HuffPost Women. And not only did they syndicate our content, they told the story about what we were doing and kind of profiled women you should know. So that really pushed us out of the gate like a rocket. And we have been growing by leaps and bounds ever since.
It's just unbelievable. And the gift, I want to keep going back to the gift that you and Cynthia gave these women, right? Like, in the honor, and like, you always use the word humble, and I love that word. Like, you were just in such a state of, you were honored and yet humbled to be that voice, but the timing of everything. And now you have I don't even know how many ridiculous people, over 1 million people, right? On Women You Should Know. You've got an amazing, I can't wait for people to go out and look at it and see all the stories and all the remarkable stories of people you're profiling and sharing. And then this has catapulted another whole business that you're celebrating today as we record this. So tell us about that. What the spinoff is. Yeah.
So about 5 years into Women You Should Know, again, this is what we do. We sort of get an itch and say, like, what else can we do? How else can we better support women? How else can we better celebrate them? And being entrepreneurs, we know that one of the greatest roadblocks to getting something off the ground, especially for women, is capital. So we said, okay, what could we do with that? How could we help women raise money? And then we started looking at the pitches that were coming into the site. And consistently, we would get pitches from women who were running campaigns on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and saying, I'm running this campaign. I want to get in front of the Women You Should Know audience because I think your audience might be able to get behind me. So we said, that's it. This is how we're going to do it. We can do everything all at once. We can build the platform for women and women-led gender diverse teams where they could launch their campaigns to get a new project, idea, product off the ground. And we can use the power of the Women You Should Know community that is, an amazing, diverse mix of individuals who all believe in the power of women and their ideas to change the world. We could get those campaigns running on Women You Should Fund in front of the Women You Should Know community. And then those two sister brands would therefore support each other. So it was like a perfect storm of, inspiration and empowerment. And so we actually launched the beta version of Women You Should Fund to a close group of friends, family, and some of our Women You Should Know community in September 2016. So a year ago in September.
And look at what's happening today. Will you just share with everybody, as we record this, you are on the verge of, within a few hours, of celebrating a huge monumental moment.
Yeah, let me give you the exact total, actually. So the very first film to run a campaign on our platform, which we are so excited to have them as part of it, is a film called Big Sonia. So it's Leah Warshawski made a documentary about her grandmother, Sonia Warshawski, who's a 91-year-old Holocaust survivor. And the movie is just amazing. And this woman has triumphed in ways that most people cannot even imagine. So Big Sonia is the story of her life, and she has this amazing message of love and hope, and everybody needs to see this film. But they were using the platform Women You Should Fund to raise $75,000 so that they could actually get the the film into the most movie theaters from coast to coast. Mm-hmm. So as of right now, they have raised $73,466. So they are literally hours away from reaching goal, and we could not be happier for them. We're super excited.
Oh, I'm so excited. And so where can people go? I mean, I would get to this later because we're right in the moment of it. Where can people go to learn more about if they wanted to donate, learn more about the fund?
Okay, so you can go to womenyousshouldfund.com. So Women You Should Know is womenyousshouldknow.net. However, we do own the .com for that now as well. But it's womenyousshouldfund.com, and you can see the campaigns that are running. And we're going to have a whole bunch of new and exciting campaigns that are going to go live in September.
Oh, this is so exciting. Oh my goodness. I just love this. And here's the amazing thing is, you get to meet incredible people like you, Jen, and Cynthia. And then you learn the story. And I'm sitting here, we were running around laughing because the minute I met Jen at this event in DC 2 weeks ago, I literally was in awe of what they're doing. And I'm running around and she goes, I've never had my own personal publicist.
And I said to you, I was a publicist for years. And so to have somebody actually voluntarily self-appoint themselves to be my publicist, I was like, great, go for it.
Yeah. And then I just kept dragging people to you going, you've got to hear this story. And next thing you know, I'm like, Jen, don't worry. I'm not going to make you tell it for the fourth time, but I am having you on the show. Darn it.
I know. I think it was the fourth time. And I was like, I don't know if I can tell the story again. I just don't know if I have it in me.
But I think I've got it down to where I could tell it for you and about you guys because it's so magnificent. And I keep going back to the calling. You guys have really followed, when people talk about, it's my big platform. It's like truly understanding your purpose. And I think so many adults, especially Jen, get to a place in life where you just wonder, is this what it's about, right? You've achieved a certain level of success in the world's eyes. You're doing all the things you're supposed to do or you think you should do. And then you're going to bed at night and waking up feeling like there's still something missing. It's like when you said my soul was going dark. Yeah. And I just think it's so important to be aligned with people that have similar values and similar, I call it life-minded, but, gang, please, seek out people that are truly finding their callings and not saying that it's easy, not saying that it's going to be like a silver platter. Everything's just going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur most of my life as well. But yet, you're doing something, Jen, for the greater good of our world, and you're using your soul to its highest purpose. And that's why it was so important for me to celebrate you. And unbeknownst to me, until maybe an hour and a half ago, I had no idea that this beautiful, magnificent spirit of Jen that we are getting graced with her company today, and your amazing tenacity, fortitude, perseverance to keep going and doing and living your passions in the midst of all of this. You have been battling and have been surviving and actually hit a 10-year remission for a very rare disease that you actually, if you weren't owning your health, talk about helping women own themselves and have a voice. If you hadn't owned your health and really fought for yourself, I mean, who knows how long it would have been. Will you tell us about this journey? Because this just made me go, wow, I just put you even higher up on my pedestal. By the way.
Oh no, please don't do that. Pedestals are absolutely not necessary.
Well, it is for me, for you. There we go.
No, it's interesting because something that you just said, which piggybacks into this, is that, whether you want to call it a calling or an inspiration or just, seeing a path and jumping on it, that's what Cynthia and I have always done. It's not easy. I want to stress that. And yes, there have been these amazing serendipitous moments. Those serendipitous moments, though, have not come with ridiculous amounts of hard work, sacrifices of time, sacrifices of family, financial sacrifices. So serendipity helps, and answering a call in your heart or your soul matters, but you also have to be prepared for all of the work that goes into it. And, case in point, you have to be able to pivot when you're an entrepreneur, because you never know when you are going to get sidetracked, and you can't predict anything, whether it's financial, whether it's personal, whether it's health, whether it's business wise. There's so many things that can kind of get you off track. And I think it's how you navigate whatever kind of puts itself in front of you and how you get to the other side that ultimately matters. So I will make a very long story short. We were actually supposed to launch Women You Should Fund in October of 2016. I unfortunately had a very unexpected, very bad relapse of a disease called Graves' disease, which is what I have. It's a disease of the thyroid. And I was sick enough to the point that it landed me in the ER. And, we obviously couldn't launch while I was sitting there, with my heart racing 140 beats a minute at rest, and I couldn't even think straight. So that was a big sidetrack, and it was devastating to me because we had worked so hard with the build out of the brand and the back end and the whole infrastructure of what has to power something like a digital crowdfunding platform. And I just remembered feeling so incredibly defeated, but at the same time, something changed, because I actually think in some weird way, as much as I hate that I fell out of remission, having been in remission for 10 years prior to October, I think there was a reason that it happened, because it made us have to change our timeline. And we pushed the launch of Women You Should Fund to January. And it actually made a huge difference because, as you recall, there was a little something called the U.S. presidential election in November of 2016. Mm-hmm. I will not get into politics here, but I will say that, it was a devastating loss, I think, for the country and for women in particular. And what we found that was, come January, when the dust and the emotion had kind of settled, women in particular were really looking for a place to be active. And I cannot tell you how often and how robustly we were thanked by members of our community for doing the work that we do every day. Not that we hadn't been thanked in the past, but it was a different level. People really were wanting to feel like they were part of a community. They were wanting to feel like they could go somewhere and feel good about being in a tribe of women, if you will, and also looking for ways to be active, because I think it woke people up to the fact that you cannot just coast. If you want to see something happen, you cannot wait for somebody else to do it. You have to be active in your life to be the change that you want to see, to help usher in the change that you want to see. And so I think that's sort of the silver lining takeaway from all of it. So, yes, it was horrible having a relapse, but it kind of happened for a reason. It's a weird way to look at it, but it sort of did, because it made us push back the launch until the first part of 2017, which was a very powerful time for women to be coming together and to looking for different ways to support one another. And we officially launched in March for Women's History Month, which, we celebrate women's history every single day. So to be able to actually have an official launch during that month made it even more powerful for us.
Oh, and when you think about, again, I don't want people that are listening to miss the value, and it's not saying that every day is going to be easy. And I love that you said that. The difference is you see the glass half full. If we're willing to pause and see the events going on around us and realize that sometimes we try to control so much going on, and yet the greatest things that happen are when we let go of control and let the flow begin. There is a flow in this universe. There is a flow. And we as human beings are really good. We become very skilled at wanting to control the outcomes of everything. And by you being able to sit here going, boy, I was in the ER, had a massive relapse. And yet you could see the silver lining of the outcome of pushing back the platform launch. I would love to know, Jen, just for the women that are listening and the men, I mean, there's women and men all over the world that listen, empowering yourself. Can you give us just kind of an overview journey of what was that? What did you have to do to get to own your health? Like you were in remission for 10 years, but take us back to the symptoms and what you went through when you knew something's wrong. Can you just help us own our health, men and women?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that I noticed was that I went out for a run one day, and I was a regular runner, and I took about 20 steps and I couldn't go any further. And I was like, what's wrong with me? I was like, what, are my feet in cement? And I really, like, my heart started racing and I was having trouble breathing. And so I said, you know what, it's probably just hot and humid. Maybe that's why. I'll try it again tomorrow. And then the next day I went out for a bike ride, and I went on a really long bike ride, and I happened to be on the beach, and I couldn't bike back. I actually could not pedal the bike. I had no energy to do it. And I was so far away from where I was, and I did not have my cell phone with me. I was like, how's this going to work? No one knows where I am. How am I going to get back? And so I also didn't take water, which was very stupid. So if you go out for a run or a bike ride, that's going to be really long. Make sure you take water. That's my, fun fact for the day. But it was that. And then I had been away when that was going on, and I came home, and there were 3 or 4 separate occasions where I pretty much blacked out. Once was at the gym, and a woman helped me in the locker room. It was mortifying and humbling. Like, there I was, I had just gotten out of the shower, and I'm like falling on the floor. And it also happened on the street, and that's not fun in New York City, let me tell you that. So, I ignored it, still not thinking, because truth be told, I celebrated my 10-year anniversary of my remission. I was like, woohoo. The month before, I was like, I'm good. It's never going to happen again. So Graves' disease was the furthest thing from my mind. I was like, I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. So I wound up, after being immobile on a couch one day, like literally could not move, felt like I had the worst flu in the world, but I knew it wasn't the flu. Took myself to urgent care, and the doctor said, do you know that your heart rate's like 118 beats a minute at rest? And I said, I think I know what that is. And so it progressively got worse. And about 2 weeks later, I finally made my way to see an endocrinologist, and it was confirmed that that the Graves was back. So, but again, in the grand scheme of life, it sucked. Don't get me wrong. It totally sucked. And if anybody listening has Graves' disease, there are different degrees of it, and you know what it's like. It's hard to put into words for people who don't, but it can affect your eyes, your heart, your liver, and have a deep effect on your emotions because of the TSH receptors that are on all of these different organs in your body. But in terms of what other people have to deal with in their life, again, this is treatable. It's manageable. And so if this is what I have to deal with, I will take it. And that's why I don't really talk much about it. I don't complain about it, because it is what it is, and I'm going to be fine. But it is a wake-up call that, women in particular, because thyroid issues affect women more greatly than they do men. If something weird is happening and you're being told, I was told 10 years ago, because I dropped down to 111 pounds, which is really, really low for me. The first thing the doctor said to me was, she said, do we need to have an eating disorder conversation? And I said, what? Because I ate a pint of Ben & Jerry's last night, and the night before, and the night before, and the night before, and I can't put on weight. So I think there is a perception that if you look a certain way and you're a certain age, there can't be anything medically wrong with you. And that's not right. You need to find a doctor who's actually willing to listen to you. And fortunately, I did have doctors around me who helped me get to the point of figuring out what was going on. And I have a different group of doctors now, 3 women, and I call them my dream team. So my dream team is taking very good care of me, and I feel fantastic. So that's all good. And if I may, there's one thing that you said before that I wanted to quickly go back to. We were talking about the women first responders of 9/11, and you said, what a gift you gave them so that their voices could be heard. And I just want to stress, actually, that through the work that we do, I don't think that we're giving anybody a gift. I think we're actually the ones that are receiving a gift, because to be able to amplify somebody's voice and use their voice and their story to help possibly inspire, motivate, or move someone else, to me, that is the greatest gift in the world. And the fact that I get to do this every single day is an incredible privilege for me and for Cynthia as well. We both feel the same way.
And I'm just thinking about all the people who are the recipients of hearing the stories, right? Like, you're bringing an awareness to the world by sharing people's stories. It's just like with this show, right? Like, it's sharing people's stories that are so, to me, it's the magnificence of the extraordinary you and what you're dealing with, and maybe the adversity you've been through, but following a passion. And life isn't going to be like an easy pave, as you said to me earlier. It's not like a paved road. There's a lot of bumps and even potholes, and even some brick walls. It's just, what do you do to get through it? And when we get to hear about other people's stories and know that they could get through it, I always believe, Jen, that there's somebody sitting there that will listen to this, that might be living in their own, they've lost hope. Maybe they've lost faith. Sometimes it's just a matter of being able to pull themselves out of bed, right?
Yeah.
And saying, I want to dream again. I want to have something that I wake up and I'm excited about and fulfilled. And I truly believe this. I don't know that we could say this has been medically documented, but wouldn't you agree that probably a good amount of what you've been able to deal with this ickiness that has to linger around you every once in a while, but by you choosing to live your life in such extreme place of doing what you're passionate about sharing all these people's stories and just creating this for this world, it's keeping you energized. And I believe that is healing, however we slice it, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm on a serious mission, and, I'm a triple type A person. So, not everyone is like me, and thank God for that, because then the world would be a really crazy place. But, yeah, I mean, there's a goal, and I'm going to see that goal out. But there have been plenty of days that I haven't wanted to get out of bed. There have been plenty of days that I cried. Last fall was miserable because, again, we felt like our plans had been sidetracked, because actually concurrently with my relapse, Cynthia actually got sick and required surgery for her illness. So it was like, could anything else possibly happen right now? In the moment that we're trying to launch this third brand, but it's tough to give advice because everybody is different, and somebody may need to stay in bed for a week before they can get to the other side. Somebody may be able to bounce out of bed in an hour. So it's, I think that the important thing is just to figure out what it is that you're passionate about and pursue that to the best degree that you possibly can. Because I feel like if you're doing something that you truly believe in, it makes it a little bit easier to navigate all of those bumps and potholes that are going to come up. And, they're tough when they do. And sometimes you feel like you can't get out of them. But I also have an amazing business partner, so I don't do this by myself. So, I lift her up, she lifts me up. And it's like a seesaw. Just like when we were kids, she goes up, I go down, I go up, she goes down. Sometimes we balance out in the middle, and most of the time it's like that. But that's the amazing thing about our relationship. And I could not do this without her. I couldn't do any of this without her. Talk about gifts. Cynthia is my gift, because, she's not only my partner in business, she is my best friend, and we've been through a lot together. And it's tough. It is very tough to be in business together. So, riding those waves together, it's been just such an incredible asset to have her by my side. And, I think she would say the same about me.
Just to be around the two of you, I can be a testimony to what you just said. It's magnetic. The two of you bring so much joy and light to a room, and you are both so edifying of each other. So it's a beautiful thing. And I think I don't even know how to wrap this up, because I'm sitting here going, you just shared the greatest wisdom and advice. I typically ask my guests, what advice would you give your 25-year-old self? And you just gave it. You just said, figure it out what your purpose is, and just do what you do with passion. And Jen, it has been my gift. I feel I got the gift today of getting to just shine the spotlight on you and learn more about you. And whatever I can do, I'm here for you both. I just am passionate about what you're doing. Will you tell everybody anything you'd love to know if they'd like to learn more about what you and Cynthia are doing, anything at all? How do they reach out to you? What is best for you, for them to learn more about you and anything you have going on?
Yeah, so you can go to womenyoushouldknow.net and you can go to womenyoushouldfund.com. And we are also all over on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can find us there. And Holly, allow me to give you a compliment, because I have to tell you that meeting you that day and spending the greater part of, I think it was 14 hours that we spent together.
Yes.
That was like a crash course in Jen and Holly, let's get to know each other. You're just truly, you're like a drug. You really are. Like, there's something about you. You just get sucked into your presence, and you're just an absolute delight to be around. And you're so incredibly inspiring. And I just really, really loved meeting you. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you today and your listeners. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I think you almost got me a little emotional, Jen. Thank you.
No.
Yeah,
happy tears, only happy tears.
Oh, good tears, tears of joy. Well, I am hugging you virtually through the phone. Thank you, my love. Give Cynthia a big hug for me. Go celebrate tonight. Keep us posted on the fun that is just hours away, because we will be celebrating with you. And I can't wait to connect with you again in the near future. Thank you, darling.
Thank you so much, Holly. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I loved every second. Thank you for joining me for another awesome celebration of you. If you were inspired by this story, please share it with your family and friends and hashtag Your Story Matters. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on iTunes. And absolutely, please come to my website, hollydowling.com. Leave a comment there too, and while you're there, pick up your free gift. Most importantly, though, just remember that your life is a gift from God. What you do with it is your gift back.